Shadow of Desmond by KC Hilaire. He wears a paper hat. He sits and watches from the side of the pavement, glaring at each of the passers-by with eyes fixed like stone. All those people, not one of them stopping as they go about their business, hustling through the city like there's no tomorrow. Why wasn't he as busy as the rest of them? Why was he sitting in the middle of nowhere, homeless, tattered clothes, too much pride to ask anyone for a meal or a dime? He gently touches his hat with content. He feels that as long as he has that hat, nothing will trouble him. Someone zips in front of him with a briefcase. His face looks so familiar. A friend. Many years ago, that man with a case was his friend indeed. As he sits on the pavement, his face crumples as he mutters the traverse's name. The passerby takes one good look at him, never smiles, and continues walking the other way. What friend was supposed to stop and talk to a vagrant? After all, he was now a man, all dressed in his business suit. This makes the guy sitting on the pavement remember.
My name is Joshua. I used to be very smart in school. I used to study 40 hours per week from primary school up till I left university. I graduated with 2 honors degrees, one in sociology and the other in information technology. The world was mine for the taking. Not to sound arrogant, but there were many people who weren't as smart as I was, but I still tried to help them score better grades whenever I could. There was this one boy called Desmond. He used to skip classes so much that he'd gotten straight D's till he got frustrated and dropped out of school. After I left school, it took me a few months to find a job. Typical, but I eventually got one as a junior programmer. Not bad. Fresh out of school, I wasn't really expecting anything beyond being a counter clerk. Finally, all my hard work had been paying off. Every day I showed up at work on time and performed my duties to the best of my abilities, but 6 months later it was all over. I had only been employed as an OJT. Whoopee, no money for me. The next few months proved to be challenging. I gained work here and there, but no one would hire me for long-term employment. They claimed that my degrees made me overqualified, yet it puzzled me that I had very little working experience. The years went by and I did whatever work I had to do in order to survive. Working multiple jobs, trying to live on my own, all while trying to make the best of a combined $3,000 salary. Come February, rent was going to be $4,000. I needed to find a job that at least covered that. Months later, I got a phone call for the job interview of my life. Yay! I showed up bright and early at the company the next morning, only to meet 77 applicants sitting in a waiting room. My friend Desmond, who had once dropped out of school, was there as well. We smiled at each other from afar, but when the day was done, only one of us, in addition to the other 75 applicants, would get the job. In the end, it wasn't me. Desmond got the call back, but I'd found out weeks later that though he had been underqualified for the position, the HR manager was his uncle. Well, I couldn't pay the rent in time, so I got kicked out into the streets. I've been here for 3 years. My degrees are pretty useless now. No one wants to hire someone who doesn't even have a place to live. The first thing comes to everyone's mind is, how reliable can a homeless person be? The only consolation I get is whenever I think about making a bonfire with my degree in sociology and a paper hat with the one in IT, which reminds me.
He's out of his head again. The crowd of people sashaying in front of his eyes reminds him where he is. His friend Desmond disappears in the midst of all the people, never looking back at the vagrant sitting on the side of the road. That vagrant puts his hand on top of his head and retrieves his paper hat. Gradually, he unfolds the paper and begins to read. Bachelor's degree in IT from one of the most prestigious universities in the world. He then flips the paper to the other side and smiles at the words he viewed, words that he himself had written. Children, go to school and learn well, but know that unless you know someone special, later on in life, you will catch real hell. He holds up the paper into the air and laughs like a lunatic. Then slowly, he begins to reconstruct his paper hat. Ah ha 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 ha.